completely misused that text outside of its context growing up in church for years. I need somebody to tell me, when you read this, where the text says in John 12 and 32, as for me, if I am lifted up from the earth, I will draw all people to myself. Now, if you already know the answer, don't take away my fun. But if you are unfamiliar with this text, what is the typical way that we understand this text? Because I know, and we look, say that in my church, Latrice. Most people, when we hear that, the default for most of us is, if I be lifted up, if I be magnified, exalted, glorified, then I will draw all men unto me. But the issue is, the very next verse says that that's not what Jesus was talking about. And it says the very next verse, which they never quote when we're in the middle of praise and worship, and he said this to indicate what kind of death he was about to die. So
Yeah.
to be lifted up in first century Jewish culture meant to be crucified. We completely misused that text outside of its context growing up in church for years. We all here to learn. But again, that had nothing to do. Now, that doesn't mean that if we lift Jesus up and magnify him, he won't draw people to him, but that's not what the text meant. Does everybody understand?